Hold your horses, fellas. Hold on, cut the
Yes, shooters fan, what's good? M.Visuals here with Keenan Lamb, and we are here today checking out the Sony A7S III. We've had an exclusive first look that Sony have given us today to come in and check it all out. Keenan heads up all of Shooters video, all of video production, and runs all of the UK Shooters video, so he's going to be mainly in charge today. But we're super excited to be testing this today as a first look, exclusive look, so we can't wait to test it. Let's get it.
So we're out here in the real world testing out the Sony A7S III. We're super excited to be able to get our hands on this camera. It's actually the only one in the UK right now. We've got Mike here, he's on his boosted board. We're going to show you the dynamic range on this camera. Apparently it's got 15 plus stops when shooting in S-Log3, providing you've exposed properly, and that will allow us to grade the footage a lot better and play around with the colors a lot more. So we're going to be talking about the 10-bit 422 in this camera, which is a huge step in Sony's innovation when they're developing this A7S III. So what is this bit? What is this 10-bit, 8-bit that you hear? Basically, a bit is the amount of basic red, green, and blue colors that can be stored in a single frame. So when you have 8-bit, you have less colors than a 10-bit, and this goes up to 16-bit, which this camera does shoot at. It shoots at 16-bit RAW with an external recorder. Currently, no external recorders can record 16-bit RAW at the moment, but we are looking to see that in the future. If we were to describe what bit depth is, it's almost like comparing a JPEG to a RAW. When you're editing a JPEG, you don't have as much room to play around with the colors as much as a RAW. And if you're shooting a sunset at, say, 8-bit, you might see banding. This is where the colors don't differ as much, because obviously a sunset has like a gradient, but then as you increase your bit depths, the gradient of the sunset will become a lot smoother because you have more colors in a single frame. So another thing I really like about this camera is the fact that we can now touch the focus on the screen, and there's actually a tracking feature on here. On the previous A7 III models, we had touch focus, but it didn't actually have a tracking feature. So right now I'm filming Mike and testing out the dynamic range. I'm shooting at S-Log3, which is the picture profile. But right now I'm exposing with everything to be in the middle of the histogram. So it looks good on the screen right now. We have Mike black top. As you can see, there's some shadows here on his top. Obviously we've got the sky, we've got the trees in the background, and just making sure everything looks good in camera before we grade it. And if we apply the grade on now, we can see what this looks like. So currently our settings are at, we're aperture f9, shutter speed 1/50, and ISO 160. And on the camera screen, it looks perfect. There's nothing underexposed, nothing overexposed. So right now we're going to be testing the dynamic range between the A7 III and the A7S III. These are both set on the H-Log3 picture profile, exactly the same settings, exactly the same lens, same focal length, everything's the exact same, apart from obviously the dynamic range of the cameras. So we're going to compare them side by side, but just give you guys a little comparison, showing you Mike on his boosted board. One of the biggest features on this camera that I think a lot of people are excited about is this flip touchscreen. This is the first Alpha series camera that has this flip touchscreen. So this is a super nice addition, allows us to get lower angles when we're filming and higher angles and still be able to see the screen. And also for the vloggers out there, bring it out like this and we can see ourselves when we're vlogging, which is a huge bonus, because previously we couldn't do that. We couldn't check if we were in focus, we couldn't check if we were overexposed or underexposed. So this is a super nice addition. One more thing for the vloggers out there and people who are just recording videos on this camera in general is this new microphone and the hot shoe mount that is included in this camera. This hot shoe mount actually provides power to this mic, meaning you don't need a cable and you don't need batteries for this mic either. So right now what you're seeing is us in a dark room. This is kind of what it looks like from our eyes. We're going to be testing the low light sensitivity of the A7S III. This camera is known for its incredible low light performance with an expandable ISO range up to 409,600. So we're going to compare this camera to the A7 III in exactly the same situations, exactly the same settings, and see which looks better. So right now what we're going to do is test out the slow motion capabilities of the A7S III. We're going to pour a bit of coffee into a cup and just get the slow motion of the drips of the splashes coming out. This camera does 4K 120 frames per second max, and that's at 10-bit 422, and it also does full HD at 240 frames per second. However, we are in the UK, we're working with a frequency of 50 Hertz, so we're going to be filming 4K 10-bit 422 at 100 frames a second, and then the full HD at 200 frames a second, and we're going to compare the two and show you guys what it looks like. Right now what we're going to do is switch to full HD mode. We're going to try out the 200 frames per second slow motion. This does not record audio, however it's still in a 10-bit 422. It's on the S&Q mode, which is the slow and quick function. Let's test that out.
So we finished up shooting for the day. Keenan, what are your thoughts?
Mate, I absolutely love this camera and I think it's so cool and I can't wait to get my hands on it and actually use it properly. Obviously love the 4K 10-bit 422, the slow motion in 4K, and obviously one of my favorite things is the flippy touchscreen allowing me to also touch and rack focus. So yeah, absolutely love it.
A little bit of an exclusive now as well. Sony have just said to us that we're going to get this camera back in a few weeks. So we're going to take it around London or maybe on the road. So check back in a few weeks and we'll see what we can capture.
Make sure you like and comment what you think about the A7S III down below. Are you going to get it? Are you going to upgrade from your previous camera? We'd love to hear what you guys think. But until then, we'll see you guys in the next video.
Hold your horses, fellas. Hold on. Cut the camera. You do know I'm taking this for me, didn't you? Yeah, no, it's mine now. I'm taking this for a couple of weeks. So yeah. Anyway, good to see you, fellas. All the best, yeah? Sweet.
Okay.